Welcome to the first ever episode of the Holland Impact. My name is Christian Holland. I am the host of this podcast, and I'm very excited that you decided to tune in today. I thought beatboxing would be a great musical intro to this podcast of mine because I love to play the drums. I've been playing since I was 8 years old when my parents first enrolled me in drum lessons. I was your stereotypical drummer. I was banging on pots and pans in the kitchen, and I was telling my mom and dad how much I wanted to take drum lessons, and they were like, well, I guess it's going to be a really noisy house for the rest of our lives then, so let's just get him into drum lessons. So I'm very, very grateful to them. That was a wonderful, or that still is a wonderful outlet for me to express myself and really just let go and just have just like a distraction, something to relieve stress. So before I do anything else, I really have to thank my mom and dad for supporting me and believing in me and inspiring me throughout my life. My name is Christian Holland. I go to school at Brigham Young University in Idaho. I just changed my major. I just rerouted my entire study focus from marriage and family studies to psychology with an emphasis in industrial organizational psychology. And maybe in a future episode, I will talk about why I changed, what each of those what each of those majors are, and why I'm excited to get into this psychology major. So one of the very first things that I need to address is, why is there a seahorse on the cover art of the Holland Impact? So if you don't know, there is a structure, a very complex structure in each of our brains called the hippocampus. And you might be thinking, like, that's a really weird name for a structure in the brain. I'm like, there's a lot of weird names for things in our brain. Um, so I learned about this from a class called Behavioral Neurobiology, which I'm taking right now. It's all about the study of the brain. It's super overwhelming, but I am fascinated by it. So the hippocampus in our brains is to help with learning and memory. And if you Google image what the hippocampus looks like, it actually kind of looks like a seahorse. So that's where the hippocampus gets its name, because it's derived from the Greek words meaning horse and sea monster. So that's why it's named hippocampus, because it looks like a seahorse, and that's why I have it on the cover art, because I wouldn't be able to remember all of these people, these places, these topics, these things that have made an impact on me without this little seahorse looking structure in my brain called the hippocampus. So that's why there is a seahorse on the cover. So, on that note of the hippocampus helping us retain memories, I would like to now share with you a story of an event that is burned into my memory. And that is the time I went to a Japanese bathhouse. So I went to Japan for a week when I was 13 years old. I had the opportunity to go to Japan for as part of an exchange program called the Livermore Yotsukaido Sister City Organization, uh, colloquially known as LYSCO, LYSCO. And the organization interviewed 20 students to go to Japan. So we went in October of 2013. It was a 10-hour flight, and that jet lag just wiped us out. That is an understatement. We were exhausted by the time we got there. Like, we got to the Yotsukaido City Hall, and the host families that were having us stay with them, they came to pick us up, and we were all just like just getting our stuff into the back of their cars. So it was a super fun experience, but I'd like to tell you just one little bit of that week, that wonderful week that I was there. So, for context, let me just give you a little background. The second night of our stay in Japan is called the reception night. And that is when the American students and the Japanese families, they all get together. They have a potluck, and the American students go up on a stage and they perform a skit that they had prepared. We did the dance to We're All in This Together from High School Musical, and we also did the Cupid Shuffle. So that was a whole lot of fun. Our minds were just occupied with, oh my gosh, there's all this good food, such a good time. We're in a foreign country and it's fantastic. Just nothing but good vibes, high fives, and good times. Yeah. Excuse me. So when we leave, it's gotten pretty dark outside. It's around 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. And then we head to this, what looks like a restaurant kind of place. And I had no idea where we were going. I thought we were going home. So they walk us into what looks like a restaurant. I mean, there's like tables, there's a front desk. I thought they were going to like seat us somewhere. They were bringing us to their favorite restaurant or whatever. But they give some money to this cashier person, and then we walk down this long hallway. And then suddenly, my host mom and my host sister, they walk in a separate direction. They like go down this other hallway. And we like wave bye to them. I'm like, what's going on? So I wave bye to them, and then my host dad and brothers lead me and my roommate down the other end of the hallway. And we go through this door, and all of a sudden, I see like the first person that looks at me when I walk through this door is this huge, naked Japanese man. And I realize we're in a bathhouse. So if you're unfamiliar what a bathhouse is in Japan, they're kind of like locker rooms here in America, where like the women go to one area and then the men go to another area, and they basically just undress and they soak and chill in this huge like hot tub sauna jacuzzi thing. And they were all super casual about them being like naked around each other, because I like in America we're super like private about these things, you know. We don't get into baths naked with other people. We call that skinny dipping, but this is just like a regular part of their like social culture there in Japan. They just take baths naked, and I'm like, all right, I guess. So I'm really uncomfortable at that point, and I look at my roommate. I'm like, what are we doing? And he's like, I guess just follow their lead. So they take their shirt off, I take my shirt off. They take their pants off, I take my pants off. They take their underwear off, and I'm reevaluating everything I've been through up to that point. So then I reluctantly just follow through. And it was actually kind of cool because I can't remember the actual Japanese name, but there's like an aspect of their culture where bathing naked together is like a good form of social bonding. And that sounds weird to us Americans, like whoever's listening to this, that sounds weird. However, a foreign country, like they do things differently there. And I think that as we seek to understand other cultures, we become more open-minded and appreciative of the world around us. Like we're like, oh, that's super cool, you know? Because we don't want to be close-minded weirdos, we like learn from each other and we, follow along. And plus that I assume that the Japanese people that were there seeing these two white kids from America get naked in the place where they take baths, I'm sure that was weird, but I think it's also they might think it's like super endearing that two 13-year-old kids from California in the United States of America, they're following along with their culture. And I think they see that as respectful and um, honoring their way of life there. So yeah, I just as this is the first episode, I really just wanted to share just a short story that I haven't really talked about in a little while, but I thought it would be a good kickoff to like this podcast. And like I'm not what's the word um I'm not nervous with talking about these things because I'm only talking about them to a screen as it's recording, but also because I really just want you guys to hear from, like, if you're tuning in, like, I really appreciate that. You really appreciate, it means you appreciate what I have to say, and I appreciate you listening. So, yeah, this last bit is going to be raw and unedited because I've just gotten sick and tired of like slicing and dicing and putting together the audio bits that I've already pre-recorded. But anyway, this has been the first episode of the Holland Impact. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to you tuning in next time. I think I'm going to try to do these like every week or every 2 weeks. I'm not sure, because I am a full-time student and I'm working and I'm married and taking care of my spouse and me. So yeah. So keep checking on Spotify or wherever else I might put this. And yeah, honestly, I really should have called this the Holland Rambler because my stories can just go on and on and on. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time.